As explained nicely by the PHP doc block inherited from a parent interface, the getDependencies method has to return an array of patch class names that have to be applied before this data patch. And while we're at it, let's have a brief look at the data patch interface inheritance hierarchy. So we inherit from data patch interface. And data patch interface in turn extends patch interface, and patch interface extends from dependent patch interface. And that's where getDependencies comes from. Anyway, back to the question at hand. Do we have a dependency to list here? Well, yes, actually. Remember, we have a website ID column and a foreign key constraint to the store website ID column. And in our patches apply method, we are inserting the hard-coded website ID 1. Aren't those dependencies? Well, yes. However, because the store website table and the website ID belong to a different module, the module Magento Store, we should not add it to getDependencies. Instead, we have to list the module Magento Store as a composer dependency and also add it to our module sequence in our module XML. So let's do that right now because it's so easy to forget otherwise. And let me just look up the module version. Here's module store, composer.json, there's the version, 101. So this would be Magento 2.3, and I only want a major version constraint here, and I'll do the same for Magento version 2.2, and earlier the default base website ID is probably not going to change. Good. Now Magento Store logic will be executed before our module, and the way Magento Store creates the default website can be treated as an implementation detail that our module doesn't need to know. I think ideally patch dependencies should be module internal only. However, since this is a video about writing data patches with dependencies, I want to use an example. So even though I think it's better to not specify the patch classes of other modules as dependencies and instead resolve those through module load order, I'll add the Magento Store patch class that adds the default website as an example. The patch that inserts the website ID 1 is this initialize stores and websites patch. So right here, it inserts the website ID 1. The core team uses a schema patch here instead of a data patch because other module schemas depend on some of the values created here. So this is somewhat of a special case. But anyway, let's add it as a dependency. So I'll copy a reference to the class name and return it in the array here. And that's all. And if we didn't have any dependencies, we could simply return an empty array here too.